back. This is Attorney Vince Davis. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. And I'm on with my associate, Jennifer Ani. Jennifer, pick up that story where you left off.
Sure. I think I was at that heart stopper that there was no report as required by law that had been filed for the removal, to justify the removal of a 4-week-old baby from a 25-year-old, otherwise perfect family. So I was being new to this county. I was hesitant to really question them because it just seemed so far-fetched. I really didn't believe there was no report. I thought maybe I'd missed something. But in fact, there was no report, and the excuse is, well, COVID-19 precautions have prevented us from doing our job. COVID-19 precautions did not include social workers not working or doing their job. I would argue they are essential workers and have to still follow statewide guidelines. We happened to, when we got the case, we very quickly retained a forensic pediatrician expert who reviewed the documents and the x-rays and the files, basically somebody who looks at blood stains and skid marks and asks the question, does the parent's explanation fit the mechanism of the injury? In other words, is what the parents saying happened or what went down, does that explain the injury? Now, in this case, the parent said, we have no idea. Mm-hmm. And immediately the social worker said, well, you are lying, right? In fact, our expert said that the clavicle, which was the bone that was broken, is so difficult to even reach at 4 weeks of age because of the size of a head. And this baby was very large and had a large head, so making it even more difficult. Yes, you could do it intentionally. You'd have to use a hammer or some other blunt force that would cause a blunt force trauma, a bruise or bleeding under the skin. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing on this baby whatsoever. Mm-hmm. The fact that they use a vacuum and there was a subdermal hematoma found, but that was explained by use of the vacuum. It's incredible to me that the social worker did not ask an expert, because while she's an expert in, quote, risk, unquote, she's not an expert in how infants break their bones, and what should have been required to check with their expert, which she didn't do. And had she done so, she would have come to the conclusion our expert did, which is that the only way that this injury is explained in this 4-week-old baby is that it happened during birth. So our expert told me to submit the letter to the county council, and this will just go away because he is finding that the injury is not the result of abuse, mm-hmm. which it has been over 6 months. They're going to lose federal funding after we're done with them. You have to finish dispo within 6 months from detention, or the federal funding is cut off. It's not a no reasonable service basis. Similar, very hard to obtain. This case qualifies. And I would say there's a violation of our civil rights there. It's tough because you have to have a child be declared dependent on everything except, I believe, I'll hand it back to you on this, but I believe a Monell claim will still be heard even though the child didn't reach the stage that they'd been made dependent. Mm-hmm. So, but it sure seems like a violation to me. You can't get those 6 months back.
Right. Those are gone. That's gone forever.
Those are gone. And all because the social worker didn't take the time to investigate. And she does not get a pass because of COVID-19. I don't even know what relevance COVID-19 has to a social worker's investigation. That would mostly be over the phone and internet. So it was very troubling to me when I told our client of the result. She immediately burst into tears and was so relieved. She'd been told she was going to be bypassed, and that is what the county's intention was, despite the fact there was no written assessment of the factors as required by law. It's pretty incredible, but not unusual.
Well, Jennifer, let me ask you something. You said you contacted the social worker with our experts report. Did the county council reply to you at all?
I have not contacted them yet, and
okay.
I don't think so. I had written a memo to you earlier today. I had some ideas that we should probably speak on there about, but I think this could be a case that that I should use as an example, because the judge is complicit in this tragedy as well, because the case came before him many times and he did not require any evidence as required by law. So I think that we should use this case, and the mother has agreed to wait a week when we have our trial set to educate this particular court about the importance of having prima facie even. So every county is different. I am used to petitions coming in with documents called prima facie, which are documents supporting the petition. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen them in Southern California as much. In Northern California, that's more the culture. So, but in this case, keep in mind, the allegations of the petition were simply box checks and conclusory. There were no independent factual basis, no prima facie, no jurist report, clearly no dispo report. Yet the social worker had already come to the conclusion she was going to bypass reunification services for this family with no prior history and no other issues presenting, except the mother was trying to get care for her baby. So I find it extremely egregious. I would hope there were some civil rights remedy. That's your department. I'm just making the trial record.
Okay, well, we will definitely talk about this.
Yeah.
That's kind of a nightmare story for if you're the young parents.
It is.
Are the kids at least with relatives?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And the appointed counsel had not informed mother of this. That was one of the first things I told her, was that, she was very worried because they said they were going to bypass and go to adoption. Well, if your child is placed with a relative, you're actually not quite on that conveyor belt that children under the age of 3 get on when they go to out-of-home placements. So because parents have just 6 months to reunify with children that are age 3 or part of a sibling group under age 3. So that was a great relief to her too. Sometimes it really helps to know what you're actually facing, because the social workers, some will tell parents things to scare them and coerce them into giving up rights they have or doing things that they don't actually have to do. I don't know what the goals are behind that, but I find that happens a lot, and it's happening in Southern California, certainly.